Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Supah Nerd-tendo on No Fucks Given Radio.
Select your player. Player 1, start.
You're serious, aren't you?
About what I do, yes. Not necessarily the way I do it.
The Thing. Is this dork made of orange rock like the rest of his body?
It's a different morality. Get used to it or go home.
As long as I'm not that person.
The evil one.
Well, nobody's perfect, but that's overstating it a little.
Comic book shit.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
You're pretty obscure.
Don't you think that's plain damn weird?
Your hosts, Mr. DKB and Racer XX Cash of the Super Smash Bros. And the Unknown Factor.
Did it work?
Supah Nerd-tendo.
Enough said.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. No Fucks Given Radio. Yeah, I am the Unknown Factor, and tonight is episode 15 of Supah Nerd-tendo. I should say issue, man, because this ain't an episode, motherfuckers. This is an issue. That's how we do this one, because we don't give a fuck, right? See, now I got some motherfuckers in the house with me. Mr. DKB, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Racer XX Cash.
Howdy.
Yeah, that is the Super Smash Bros, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I am the Unknown Factor. This is Supah Nerd-tendo, where we like to get a little bit nerdy. You know what I'm saying? So welcome to No Fucks Given Radio. If you ain't fucking ever been on here before, do me a favor, click that subscribe. If you like it, click that like button, share it, do all that good shit. Find us.
Like thumb down too.
Yeah, we'll do a thumb down too. If you fucking hate this shit, be like, fuck you, you assholes. Give us a thumb down. Whatever. We know we
Download
fucking
the app.
Yeah, hit the fucking app. You got NFGR live on fucking Google Play. Make sure you check out all the hosts on NoFucksGivenRadio.com, right? But that's not what this particular moment is about, ladies and gentlemen. This particular moment is about Len Kody. Len Kody, what's good?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Man, look, Racer, DKB, we need a fucked up first question for this show.
Yikes. Lay it on me, guys. Yeah.
We'll work on it.
We do. I just realized that. I know I bring shit up on the fly, but whatever. That's just honestly how I roll, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you notice, my shit's different. We kind of change locations too, so that's why if there's any kind of sound issue, let my ass know. I will fix it.
To the best of our ability.
To the best of our ability at this moment on the fucking fly. Like I said, we did just change location of the motherfucking studio. Yeah. But man, I don't want to take the first question. Fuck that. Who wants to take the first question?
You do. I don't know.
Man, that's...
Okay,
Yo,
Len,
DKB.
tell us a little bit about yourself and what you kind of do.
There you go.
There we go. That works. That's a nice soft one. Right, so I'm living in Los Angeles for the last 4 years. Matter of fact, today is the 4-year anniversary of the day that I rolled into LA from Chicago. It was an all-night drive. I drove across the country in about 26 hours straight drive. But I was born and raised in Chicago, and while I was living there for my whole life until recently, I wanted to get involved in comics. I thought like being a comic book writer was like a real job. So I spent a big chunk of my my early adulthood trying to do that, and one of the things I did get from all that time, other than a lot of adventures and some heartbreak, was that I made a lot of really great friends because the Chicago comics community is a really interesting one. Even here living in Los Angeles, it really isn't the same because in Chicago. There's people of all levels there, various levels of professional kind of achievement. And what's really great is that it's kind of but it's still small enough. I mean, it's a big city, but it's still small enough for everybody to kind of know each other and to sort of have this real sense of community. And so in my earlier adventures in trying to work in comics brought me sort of like initiated me into this this ragtag group of comic book makers, artists, writers, all sorts of creative folks, and so I ended up doing a lot of work with them, either freelance or sometimes friends would hook me up with gigs, or and near the end, I started to try to produce some of my own material. which ended up costing me a lot of money, and then I stopped for a while. The life's journey kind of took its zigs and zags. I got my master's degree in journalism. I tried to become like a legit writer for a while, and I guess I am kind of that right now. I make my living doing that. I moved here to LA and in search of the American dream, boys. Hopefully it's still around. Yeah.
Very cool.
Man,
how'd you get in with Moonstone?
Yeah, that was exactly it. I mean, that's kind of like a whole lot of luck. Sometimes you'd rather be a little lucky than good.
Right.
Joe Gentile, the grand poobah of Moonstone, was one of his comic shops was right down the street from where I went to high school, the place where I grew up. So as soon as I found that out, my pimply 16-year-old self was like, hey, I wrote this. And so, yeah, maybe it was just because he kind of admired my enthusiasm more than anything, and he gave me some very early shots at trying to do some professional work. So like right before I graduated high school, even I had a little something published through Moonstone, and I would do the first time I ever went to San Diego Comic-Con was with the whole Moonstone crew. And so I was pretty lucky to sort of have that proximity to some people doing it for real, and got chances to do it for real myself a lot earlier than a lot of other folks would have.
I get you. That makes sense because first Comic-Con I ever went to, the first people I met was Moonstone, comic company at a Comic-Con. It was in Chicago Comic-Con, so it was that makes sense.
One of the Wizard Worlds.
It wasn't the Wizard World. It was just the Chicago Comic-Con. There was Wizard World.
Before Wizard World. Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Old school.
Yeah, I've been going to cons for a while.
Yeah, same.
I just got to say, Len, though, you just made me realize something that I personally never would have thought. I guess it does make a great deal of sense, though, is the fact that you say there's a great difference in the community, or the comic book community, from Chicago to L.A. Now, have you worked closely in any other communities as far as in any different areas of the country?
No. It's like I said. I mean, I spent my time. I never even planned on leaving Chicago. When I was even when I sort of I went through my little phase of comic book work where I was producing my own material, and then it's like I said, that just got really expensive and heartbreaking, and sort of I kind of slammed really hard up against the financial realities of that. So I went into journalism for a while and hustled some part-time gigs. I sort of fancied myself as a guy that would always tell stories about Chicago. I mean, it was where my family was from. The more I learned about the history of the city, the more I felt like I was learning sort of about my own self. I never imagined leaving. But I mean, it was, a couple of shitstorms will change your perspective real fast. And so, I didn't literally have to get out, but I mean, I almost literally had to get out.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta stay one step ahead. And I don't know, it's, and then so yeah, my only other experience is here in LA, and I mean, Los Angeles. I don't want to be like one of those guys that moves here and just sort of bad mouth the place, because I mean, I ain't leaving. I sure ain't gonna cry uncle. But it just seems like maybe it's because everybody, or a lot of even people that come here from other countries, right? I mean, or from our own country, they kind of come here and they don't have that sense of community. It's more like crabs in a barrel, right. People trying to cut in front of each other and trying to they don't see the longer term, or they don't tend to anyway. I hate to make a total blanket generalization, but they just don't tend to see the longer term benefit of kind of of investing in a community of people, like in Chicago, if a street light goes out, people naturally just tend to sort of stop at the intersection, wait for the next guy. It's his turn, it's my turn, it's their turn, it's her turn. It's, they just order just sort of magically happens because everyone sort of understands that, if I shovel out this parking spot of snow and put a couple of folding chairs there, it's just understood. This is the laws of society, and society rises or falls on these tiny little courtesies we give each other. Whereas you know, I had my car stolen very soon after I moved here to Los Angeles, and I was taking public transportation, and my God, you know, it's like people are trying to cut in front of each other to get on a bus, you know, I'm looking around this bus, and I see that it's one of those accordion style buses, and there's like, you know, everybody's like pushing each other, and you know, first thing in the morning, rush hour, and I look up and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a whole other like level of this bus. We don't have to fight over inches. There's enough room for everybody if we all just look up and, like, you know, maybe even let a couple people in front of us. Then we all have enough fucking room, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, you know, that's just one of those moments where I just sort of, like, had to speak up, you know? I mean, the coffee was kicking in, and I was just cranky. It was first thing in the morning, and my car was stolen. I'm like, hey, everybody, move back, you know? Someone's got to be captain of this starship, and it's going to be me. Move back. We'll have enough room if you just stop trying to fuck over the person right next to you, you know?
I mean, it's a bus. You're all sharing the same space. It's not like you're going anywhere different.
Yeah, right. You know, yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, and that's sort of like I said, that's like an extreme way to describe it. But, you know, I mean, and it isn't as though like Chicago's like the kindest place in the world. I think there's there's more murders there than anywhere else. But I mean,
Candyman's from.
No kidding, right? So yeah, it doesn't feel like there is that sort of like a community where people feel like if they just give a little, they'll be able to get a little, even if it isn't like right on their very next, you know, quarterly return or whatever.
Man, yeah, I tell you, with the whole everything you just said, all it knows, it made me think of a stand-up bit. I wish I could remember properly, but it was dude's like fucking getting pissed in an airplane, and he's like, you know, it's understood. The window gets a window and one armrest. The middle gets two armrests. Outside gets the armrest and a little bit of extra leg room. This is a society. There are rules. Like,
it's true, man.
And I think it's funny you put that. So you honestly find that just LA is a far more hostile community overall?
Well, I don't know. You know, I mean, also, I mean, I did sort of like leave like the land of my people, right? And I mean, it was a risk. You know, I mean, you know, I think we were talking earlier on there whether you're a gambler or a risk taker. I'm more of a risk taker. I mean, I knew it was a risk, and part of that risk was sort of leaving some of those support systems behind, and so maybe it's only because, you know, I feel like a little bit more of the harsh reality of it because, you know, I am a little bit more exposed to the shit. Like, you know, I mean, I just sort of even just hinted at it, like not very long after here, my car was stolen. You know, I've been the victim of theft a lot of times since I moved here, and you know, it's just maybe it wouldn't happen as much if I were like, you know, like if I had the family here or the community here that I was able to plug into back in Chicago. But I don't know, you know, it's I mean, you know, there's a lot of, I mean, we could do a whole damn show like Jerry Seinfeld style, like people in Chicago are like this, people in LA are like that. But I mean, it does seem like yeah, that there's just people don't invest in their community as much, just even just on just the way they go about their business, you know.
And now you found that, like, in Chicago, it was more like that now. And you say you haven't been around other areas of the country. I'm curious, though. I mean, you see the world, right?
Well, I mean, so far as like living them, I guess. I mean, you know, I mean, I could speak very personally just from like the, you know, the
what would be your opinion?
Curses and blessings.
Yeah, what would be your opinion in a broader sense of that? Len, I'm curious. I mean, I know you don't have personal experience, obviously, in every area. Very few people on this planet can say that they've fucking lived in every state in the country. I don't even know if there is a problem. I'm sure there is. I mean, and I live in the state, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say you had to fucking sit your ass there for at least a year, or as far as I'm concerned, it don't fucking count. So you'd had to have been, you know, at least 70. Because if it's before your 20s, I ain't counting that shit either, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, you know, like one of the things, like I mean, you know, it's one of my little personal interests is sort of just how you know, especially from my journalism days, was how cities work. You know, like politically, economically, all those sorts of things. Just what sort of makes the city what it is? What are the forces that kind of shape it? And I mean, like one of the things, Los Angeles definitely is different than Chicago. Chicago, very, you know, big city. I know it's right down to its guts. I mean, you know, my family used to, it still does work for the the water reclamation district, the sewage company. So I mean, like I know Chicago right in its stinky intestines and guts that makes that city work. And but the thing about a city like the size of LA, where it's situated, the industries that sort of like are dominant here. I mean, there is just the upside is huge. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy money here. I mean, whether it's coming from like Chinese like mind control agents who are like buying like app companies on Venice Beach so that they can like hypnotize our children into worshiping, some kind of like, I don't know, however they want to manipulate our popular society.
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause. Elaborate on what the fuck you just said. Like, I need to know your full true opinion of exactly the thing you just said, Len.
I'm saying that there's a lot of money here. It comes from all kinds of places for all kinds of reasons.
You said fucking Chinese. Don't try and this motherfucker's trying to tiptoe around that shit. Did you see that shit? Huh?
Look, man, you want look, I already had to run away from one city because the Illuminati was after me. Don't make me have to run out of another.
You should tell him about T. Casey.
You should tell him about T. Casey.
He's a Manchurian.
But I mean, I guess just to finish your question, there are a lot more. The gulfs between rich and poor here are very huge because if you don't make it, a lot of people are from somewhere else, and you're going to end up on one of these gigantic like homeless populations. I've never seen so many homeless people in my life before I moved to California in general. Of course, that's a place where you want to be homeless anyway, I suppose. Although they also don't have the cold winters that sort of thin the herd out either. But so so I've never seen such poverty just in your face, just sleeping on the street and bus stops everywhere. But then just turn your head to the north, and up there in the hills are these like Tony Stark mansions where like they fly to and from work in their helicopters. And so I mean, like, so in the ecosystem here, there are like these giant, like, if it were like a jungle, like up there in the trees are like these giant, juicy, fruits and that'll keep you fed and and your children fed more than even your own desires can ever keep up with. And in Chicago, I mean, there's the tall buildings and the money in the banks, but it just doesn't seem like there's like that. Like those big piles of money that really make something happen on a global scale.
Man, look, God damn it, what's the name of that fucking Matt Damon film where it's like there's shitty, like there's a whole fucking planet, Earth is shitty, and there's this little, God damn it,
Born Identity. I'm just joking.
No, Born Identity, you fucking ass. Great film though, but different point altogether. I even enjoyed
the Asylum one or whatever.
Yeah, Asylum. I think Asylum or
Asylum or something.
Elysium.
Elysium. There you go, DKB. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I swear. Why the fuck does it just sound like you described Elysium to me, Len? What the shit?
The Matrix is real.
No, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I guess that's what you're trading when you move to somewhere that's really like kind of like on these these sort of like these. But I mean, like so far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, if you're when you're on the scale of those cities that are like New York or Paris or Los Angeles or all those ones where it just I don't think that people are as interested in community, only because they know that if they screw over their neighbor enough, maybe they'll be the guy at the top of the mountain with their own helicopters. All right.
First off, I just find it really fucked up that you just described Elysium to me. But this is like I swear to God, I didn't. Look, we got two hosts out there in California, one in San Jose and one in the where the fuck is Elmo? I don't know where the fuck Elmo. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not exactly sure.
415.
He is in the 415. Thank you, DKB. Wherever the fuck the 415 is, that's where Elmo is, right? And I know Chuckle's up in San Jose.
I think it's by the 414. I don't know.
I don't fucking know. Whatever, man. You made me lose. But hey, no. But look, we're getting way too political. Which, whatever. I guess we can do that.
That's true. We got to get the hell away from that.
Yeah, we'll do that in a moment. Actually, when we get into what you got coming out. But before we do that, it just DKB Racer. Tell me what you think. I think this would make a great first question, right? Let's say, like, out of every comic book character, man, like dead, living, like you have to murder one, like, and that character is gone forever. And then you have to take one comic book character, and you're like, this character is gonna blow up and be immortal and forever, like, be a fucking, like, it's the next Superman. And you can pick whoever the fuck you want, Lynn. Like, who you just murder. Like, you could kill Superman from history right now forever, and like, if you want to do that, that's the choice I'm giving you, Lynn. What you want?
All right, murder one, and then like elevate one to like immortality.
Like, yeah, like Superman fucking. Like, yeah, that status where it's like that character is the definition of what it is to be a comic book character kind of thing.
Maybe I would murder, I don't know, the Silver Surfer. But I mean, do I get to watch the murder? That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of have to, I don't know, like watching somebody like dismember the Silver Surfer, and I don't know.
And then he's gone. Just read Marvel Zombies, and they've done that, right?
Fair enough. Yeah. And then I mean, like, my favorite character is Spider-Man. So I mean, I guess I would have to I'd have to do Spidey a solid maybe if I were to do that.
Yeah, I think Stan Lee and Jack Kirby did him a solid a long time ago, Lynn. I think you got beat to that one.
Maybe. He meant Peter Porker. The spectacular Spider-Ham.
That would be terrible. To see Peter Porker elevated to the level of like Superman in comic book history, that would be fucked up.
Well, then like little kids would like they'd eat like everybody's lunch, and they try to become like little pot-bellied kids, and like they'd be just like Spider-Ham.
They're already there, bro. They're already there.
They'd be little porkers themselves.
Word. So what comic or what character inspired you to write, to start writing?
I was as a kid, like, when I was first reading comics. It's funny, with the Infinity War having just come out.
Hey,
which is an
look,
awesome movie.
First, okay, because I was about to be like, I have not seen the fucking new Avengers.
I was about to spoil the whole thing.
I will end this interview right now, Lynn. I swear to God. I'm not even fucking around, because I'm planning on me and my wife's having a date night Saturday. We don't get to do that very often. We are going to go check out Avengers Infinity War. I look forward to it. Motherfucker, you fucking don't do it, Lynn. Don't make me in this interview.
All right. They kill Batman. That's what I heard.
Or the X-Men's in it.
They kill Batman.
I
heard Jack Kirby has a cameo in it.
Him and Stan Lee, they have a big fight. That's the climax.
No. I knew it. Stan Lee is really death. So Thanos just loves him.
Stan Lee is pretty close to death.
Oh, dude. Savage, Racer, goddamn.
I know, right?
It's real, though. He's close to a bill. He's close to a century old.
Yeah, he's got a lot fewer days ahead of him than behind him, for sure.
I mean, he's rich, so he might be able to get a robot body pretty soon. I don't know.
Hey, man, look. He works with Walt Disney, so I could very much see a robot body in his future. But, Lynn, back to what you were saying.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely like, I was a Marvel kid. I mean, I'm rereading. I just finished rereading the original Infinity Gauntlet trade paperback, the 6-issue limited series, and I mean that came out like in 1991. I was 10 years old when that came out. And hell yeah, George Perez, what's up? And I mean, like, that was the kind of stuff that, I mean, like when that first Infinity Gauntlet came out, I mean, I'd been reading comics for a couple of years, just barely, like that awkward age where you're like smart enough to like know shit, but you're like not cool enough to be worried about anything other than just like comic books. And yeah, I mean, like when
that's like the best age for like, cause Lynn, that's Well, well, no, not really. I don't know. In a way, it is though, because you're kind of like you're intelligent enough to have your own thoughts, but you're oblivious to how fucked the world really is. And I don't know. To me, there's just a little like it's not ignorance or it's not bliss from ignorance. As well, no, I guess it is. Whatever. And I think that if all of us, so I guess I changed my mind to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, if all of us were a little more in touch with our inner 10-year-old boys. Doesn't mean we should go out there and actually touch any 10-year-old boys, but our own inner 10-year-old boys.
Jesus Christ, man. Look, we got a caller. Caller, what's up?
Oh, hi, everyone. I just wanted to hear more about that awesome artist on the May Collaborative project.
You mean Dan Doherty? He's amazing.
Dan Doherty.
I hear he's great. Yeah, how you doing, guys?
What's up, Dan?
How you doing, Dan?
Good, man. How you guys been?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations for the Gary Reed Independent Creator of the Year Award nominee.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I was really very humbled by that because you know the people who are in there too, and they're like all my good con buddies and are all. I don't know how they're going to pick between these guys, basically.
It was. When did this news come out, Dan? I didn't hear about this.
Like a day ago.
It was just yesterday. Like it's very fresh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were. I mean, they didn't really give much of a forewarning because I know the ballots were submitted a while ago, and it's they kind of let it run through the year so people have time to talk. So you kind of forget that it's coming up, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, what is this in my Facebook feed this morning? This is cool. Yeah.
Well, what's really cool about that is we were just talking about community in the Chicago area comics community, and to be nominated, for an award named after Gary Reed, one of our very own, who lost him way too prematurely. I mean, that's a hell of an honor. So congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm incredibly honored about that part. I just think it's also awesome that they're honoring Gary by naming this award and what it represents, after him and what he represented. Because if you read any of his bibliography or any of his track record, I mean, he was there to start a lot of amazing careers and make a lot of great comics. And I mean, the dude had I don't even know how many titles he was a part of or really was directly responsible for, but it's something to really be inspired by for sure.
He put out Andy Dimmott's first work, Caliber Press.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to meet him a couple of times at Wizard World Chicago. He's a super nice guy. Yeah. But yeah, he's a legend. Uncle Raffi talked about it a little bit during his interview. I wanted to make sure that was brought up.
Because him and Raph go way back, and they founded Transfusion together. And Raph is how I met Gary in the first place. I mean, I was doing the Apocalypse Plan, I think, when Gary and I first met, and I think it was because we brought Apocalypse Plan to Transfusion that I had one of my first introductions to Gary Reed, and I'm glad, as short as his life was compared to what I think it should have been, I'm glad I had some time with him because he was just a really impressive guy and nice guy too.
Right.
So wait,
but yeah, man.
Dan, you're saying everybody nominated for that is a friend of yours?
All the nominees. I mean,
so somebody's getting ostracized out of that group. Is that what you're telling me after the fucking winner goes?
I've slept in the same bed as at least two of them. So, yeah, no joke.
Hot stuff. That is so hot. Tell us more.
Well, Victor's very gentle, but
it just got hot in her.
I don't know why the fuck Dan called in and trying to make this shit pornographic. I'm sorry.
It is no fucks given. What do you expect?
This is a
right. If we can't do it here, where the hell else are we going to do it?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's there. Obviously, I think everyone who knows anything that I'm doing lately knows that Dirk is very much one of my really dear buddies and my karaoke comrade, and we do tons of different things together. Victor, he's a big part of the Wizard World scene right now. I mean, he runs the Artist Alley for them, and I've known him through Wizard World for years, and he was awesome. and just a very generous and giving kind of guy. Like he gets to call himself the hardest working man in comics, and I would say that he definitely put that time in to earn that title. And then Travis, I mean, basically Travis, I feel like is in a way a successor to Gary, because what he's doing right now with Source Point Press, I feel, it comes from a lot of the same spirit as Gary, as well as the fact that they were friends, and that, Gary, I'm sure Travis will tell you, Gary was kind of a mentor to him. So, but I see these guys at almost every show I go to. They're really, good buddies of mine, and I don't think it's going to be awesome whoever wins. And there's no bad pick in the bunch. Like, it's just awesome. Like,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, there's a lot of Chicago talent that's going to be there too. And hopefully we can get this, getting back to the project with Made Collaborative here, like we can raise some awareness for the Chicago, not only the comic community, but then also the community that the book is trying to target and to speak for and speak about.
Right.
Len, I'm sure Len can tell you about that, because Len's the mastermind of a lot of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Len, we haven't gotten into this at all yet, which, whatever. We were going to get there. I promise, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, man, I'm king of the segue. I got segue.
Hey,
hell of an operation you got.
I'm king of the segue. I don't know what. I'm about to hang up on Dan Doherty, calling himself king of the fuck. What are you talking about?
You got to let him talk about his Kickstarter first.
Oh, what, Dan?
Yeah, Dan got a Kickstarter.
Oh, fine. We'll let Dan encroach on Len's interview a little.
No, man, I want to talk about
Dan, we love you, bro. No, promo your shit. Because, look, y'all need to check out Dan Doherty, for real. His shit's fucking on point.
Well, thank you, man. You guys are always awesome, but I don't want to jump in on. Well, I mean, I know you guys are talking about Infinity War, but I mean, what do we
dude,
do?
I swear to God, you spoil that shit for me, Dan. I will hang up on you.
Just don't tell him about the Batman part where he dies, and then I think we're good.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. Superman comes up.
Thanos' mom's name was Martha.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. And then Superman comes up and goes, Martha! And Batman gets up all of a sudden, right?
My grandma's name was Martha. Coincidence? I don't know.
That's how it happened. Now you know. You don't have to see the whole movie.
I was only going to watch the first half.
With my wife, date night. Everybody stop trying to fuck it up for me. I swear, I'm waiting
the future
for
of your marriage
spoil
is
the
at
movie
stake.
in comments.
I haven't seen it, so I can't spoil nothing for you.
Good.
No, I get what you're coming from, man. Cause I saw it only because I was sick. I actually heard a spoiler on Saturday, and it pissed me off. I was walking in a bar. Somebody was just talking, and I happened to walk past, and I was like, shit! Like, I just heard that, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see it tomorrow morning. I'm just gonna do it because I had the chance. I took it. I took the shot.
That's why I went to go see it Thursday night before any of that stuff started to leak out. I was right there.
What?
Smart man.
Damn, Len.
Smart man.
I mean, that is the only way you can make sure shit don't get spoiled for you, is you have to see it the moment that shit comes out. But hey, real quick, Dan, what fucking Kickstarter you got running? And then shut up, we're going to get into Len's shit. But first, what Kickstarter you got running?
I'll make it quick then. Yeah. So my Kickstarter's coming up on May 14th. It's a Monday. It's for Volume 2 of Touching Evil, which is majority completed at this point, so I feel confident about, putting the word out there and taking essentially the pre-orders for it via Kickstarter. I've got a lot of awesome guest artists for the pinups and some really cool stretch goals. We just announced today that one of the stretch goals is that Dirk Manning and Seth DeMoose will write and illustrate an additional bonus story for everybody if we hit a certain mark. And I'll give you guys an exclusive. If we hit a certain number in the stretch goal, I'm going to do a sequel to the Touching Evil Beardo crossover that I did in the first Kickstarter.
Hey, what?
Yeah. It'll be one of the higher ones because it was a beast to do that thing, but it was so fun.
I got that.
Yeah, man. I've got a lot. Yeah, I mean, shoot, James has been killed.
I've been killed in the book.
You got killed, and you keep recurring as a dead character.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh man, I had to, man. I was like, I gotta give love to the people who have been back. And, you know, I mean, James, you've been throwing support for my work for a while, man. So I'm like, I got to give him a little extra. And, yeah, you're in issue 11. You're in issue 12.
What?
I don't even know where I'm going to stop with you because it's just too much fun.
I say you
Never
put me
had
in
so much
every issue.
personality.
What's that?
Put me in
Never
every
had so
issue.
much personality before he was dead.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's I don't know, man. He's a good character to draw to. He's
I could be her sidekick, you know. I'm just saying. I'd be Ada's sidekick, you know, fight crime or whatever.
Why not, man? You got that Astros jacket on, kicking ass. Yeah, it's great.
Right.
But yeah, man. So May 14th. It's coming up in about 2 weeks. Launch a Kickstarter, and hopefully get a good response. You know.
We'll definitely share it on the pages and stuff.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Yo.
Hell yeah. That's what's up. So check out Dan. He's got that coming up, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, tonight was Len Kody, and Dan had to just come encroach on his shit. It's okay, Dan. We love you.
Well, I mean, he's the artist I'm working with, so it's not.
Oh, I know.
He's on the.
I truly came on here to talk about that project.
Look, first off, no, Len, I was trying to up this motherfucker because I was gonna be like, hang around, because I know you was one of them motherfuckers working on this Make Collaborative, bro, and then I was gonna flip into that, but you fucked up my segue.
It's all right.
That was rude.
We can
I'm just fucking with you, man. Don't worry about it. I'm an asshole. Sorry. This is why
he's
Chuckles has to. This is why Chuckles has to occasionally tell people it's like, hey, he's an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole, so it's okay. That's why that's not no fuck. That's a different fucking show. Whatever. I'm getting off fucking track, man. I want to know. That's what I do, bro. I'm just the train that.
All right, get back on track. Yeah. Here we go.
I'm gonna right. Like, Len, what the fuck made you think to start to write a comic like this?
Well,
like
I wish I could say it was my idea, but it was not my idea. It was my partner who kind of initiated the whole thing. My friend too, Jimmy Briseño, started doing these after-school programs with kids. He wanted to do something creative with these kids on the south and west side of Chicago. You know, we were just talking a little bit how Chicago can certainly have some rough and violent areas, and he felt this kind of personal responsibility to try to do something creative with these kids and kind of give them a voice. Now, I mean, I don't want to tell Jimmy's story for him. Maybe someday we'll be able to get him on here too. Someday soon, even.
Definitely.
But you know, that just kind of sort of set the context. Is that Jimmy was he had roped to several Chicago area artists in this earlier days of Made Collaborative to try to start these after school programs where kids would have a chance to do art. When it began, he didn't even know what it was. He didn't even think it was going to be comics. He wanted to do like a billboard or something. And I think that actually they did even make a billboard, but it was through listening to the kids that they steered him towards wanting to make comics. And all of a sudden, when he realized that that's what they wanted to do and was trying to make that happen for them, that's when Jimmy realized that he needed a writer. He had all this material that the kids had sort of created with the artists, and what he needed was somebody to sort of like make a story out of that. He had material but no story yet. So right before, actually, it was kind of it fits into some of the stuff we've already been talking about, I guess, like chronologically speaking. Right before I left Chicago, Jimmy and I had a very quick meeting where he sort of explained the whole thing. It fit pretty well into my background. I was for a good chunk of my life, I was a teacher. I was a teacher both in Chicago and actually over here in LA for a little while. And I mean, I'd always sort of taught in these sort of like urban school type of situations. So I mean, like I was a writer, but I also had background in sort of like the youth outreach and urban education and those sorts of things. And so then Jimmy, I agreed to jump on the project, and Jimmy gave me all of his files and all the model sheets that the artist had came up with these characters and these story ideas. And Jimmy's like, all right, make this work. It's like, like almost like if somebody give you like a whole pile of car parts and build a car. And so that kind of, that became my role was, and the role has kind of grown since then as the kind of the project has picked up some momentum. But Jimmy realized that he needed some help kind of making this work as a story, and that's sort of how I was brought into the thing through my contacts in the Chicago comics community.
Right on, right on.
Now, what's it like? I mean, because you've written several different characters from several different formats. As far as you've written your own characters, and you've written characters that were previously created. But I would take it this is something really different because you're taking characters that have been created, but they've never had any story. You're just kind of being given these general concepts by these kids. What's that like compared to everything else you've done? Because I would assume there is a great difference, isn't there?
Well, it's not, it's funny you mentioned that. It is somewhere kind of in between those two kind of opposite extremes that you're mentioning, right? It isn't quite like when somebody just has like a, if they're strictly on the storytelling side, if they just have some brilliant idea and they want to go ahead and write it, or if like you became like the writer of Spider-Man or Batman or something, and then you get to tell stories, using that sort of like playing that sandbox. So yeah, it's kind of somewhere in between. But yeah, I think the challenge of it was, I agreed to do it because it sounded like fun, and it was another opportunity to do something fun and creative, and kind of get a little bit of a boost from doing something kind of like a community service type of thing too. But I just kind of sit there and stared at all these files for a long time before it all kind of started to click. And I really like it. The moment. I remember the moment. I was drinking lots of coffee. I was up for like about 24 hours straight, just kind of because I told Jimmy I would have something for him by the end of the week, and here it was like Thursday night. I'm trying to figure this shit out, and then all of a sudden, like the moment it all kind of clicked, I'm like, wait a minute. In this girl's story over here, there's something that happens. There's like a scene at a party, and then in this boy's story over here, there's another scene at a party. So what if it's the same party, and to be able to sort of like, find those little hooks where you can make this shared universe out of all these ideas, then it really started to feel like it had like a life. It wasn't just like an anthology, because that was the original concept, like an anthology, where it's just like one story after another and they're not connected at all. It kind of became this tapestry, this sort of like almost like this Dungeons and Dragons like universe where you can kind of continue to build on it and explore inside of it, and in theory for forever. That's where we're kind of setting our sights here. We want this thing to be like this interactive, sort of immersive community where people can contribute and collaborate. And so, the moment when it all kind of, when I was able to see, like, wait a minute, it almost felt like they were part of the same story all along, even though when I got them, they weren't. All I needed to do was add a little bit of myself. Actually, that was the glue. The glue was like, it's funny. I created a teacher character because I was a teacher at the time, and that helped. I'm like, okay. I imagine I'm a teacher, and these kids are in my class, and that's how they know each other, and that's how they happen to encounter each other, because they're all in the same school and they're all in an after-school arts program, and when it sort of started to mirror like the reality of its own kind of conception right there, when it's a story about kids in an after-school program developed by kids in an after-school program, it's like kind of that meta kind of thing going on. To be honest with you, like now the story just really it has a life of its own. I'm not a creator of it. I'm just more of like a steward of it. I kind of help it. I'm the midwife. I'm helping it being born into the world.
It's almost like a puzzle putting it together.
Exactly, and that was really satisfying to be able to do that. I remember calling Jimmy the next morning a little bit frazzled, because it was only just stimulants and excitement that was kind of keeping me awake at that moment. And I just said, all right, Jimmy, shut up, because if I pause for a minute, I'm going to fall asleep. This is how it's all going to work. And I know that when I explained it to him, that he felt the same way I did. That now we have something here.
Very cool. So when's the issue actually dropping?
The plan is in a month. We're just kind of running through the final proofs of the artwork that Dan Dan just finished up about a month ago. We're kind of formatting the book, and it's going to go off to the printers within about 3 to 7 days, which means we'll have the actual physical book in our hands in a month. And then we'll be able to make it available to people through the website and definitely at shows and things like that.
Very cool.
Hell yeah. Now let me ask, Because you say Dan. I mean, Dan, obviously you drew the you drew these characters. So when you guys are, you guys get together to do the concept art for the characters?
No, well, you know, I mean, not physically get together. You know, and to be fair, there was a lot of conceptual work done before I showed up that I got to, like, you know, riff off of and kind of experiment with from John. I'm not sure if that came into the conversation at all, but you know, like when I came in, it was Len's vision very strongly guiding a lot of the decisions I had to make. And then us talking quite a bit after I saw what had been done already, you know, like all the work that had been put in. It was kind of unique in a way to be in that spot where, like, you know, this is still in its, like, formative stages in one sense, but already had so much work done just to get to that spot. Like, you know, what Len is describing right now, I don't envy the task he had of, like, taking several different narratives and trying to weave them together, but he did a fantastic job with it. And I think it's because he just sort of connected with, I think, the underlying spirit of the thing. It's just like, you know, these kids have all their own problems and issues, and it almost alienates them from their environment, but the one common thread is their power of imagination. And, like, when you realize that as the story goes on, even if they don't realize it necessarily, it kind of says a lot about, like, what the project was supposed to be about. You know, like, it's supposed to be about using your imagination as a means to express yourself and get past your problems. So Len did an awesome job, and then I just kept, you know, riding Len's vibe, man. Like, it's really, like, him rooting that out and then me just channeling it, and that's really all there was to it.
Right on.
So yeah. What's your thought on fucking the fact that, like I said, it's very much a middle ground, man. I mean, it's not an original character like, you know, Beardo is in your case, and it's fucking not something that your characters and concepts put them together, which is dope. Like, it's really it's interesting as hell, and it turned out well, man. Because, like I said, we got a chance over here at Supah Nerd-tendo. Thank you for that, by the way, Len.
What's even better is the kids that, you know, benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, the kids are really the driving force behind the whole thing, and I think that, I mean, you know, real talk, I think the kids have the best ideas. You know, they at a certain age, at least, like, there's certain ages that kids are just coming up with, like, you know, unfiltered, raw,
creativity.
Cool. Yeah, you know, like, I deal with kids and adults teaching here and there, and I always love hearing what they have to say. Like, it's nice to hear, like, a kid tell you what they think is awesome, because usually it is. It's like, that's really cool, man. Let's do that today, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
so,
and I think once you take your ego out of it too, you know, it does kind of the creativity that follows after you take your ego out of it and say, look, I'm not going to try to make myself, like, seem like I'm so clever and smart and creative. What I'm trying to do is just help these, you know, their authentic voice, you know, and you know, without betraying any of that authenticity, just present it in the best way, the most, you know, workable, you know, attractive way possible. And you know, once your ego is out of it, I think the work that you do is that much more pure and less encumbered by the, you know, the sort of like ego-driven states of mind that are the downfall of us all.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a good point, man. Because, like, these kids aren't trying to, like, have a professional career in comics or, like, you know, climb the ladder. They're just trying to tell what's on their mind. That was all I imagined that they were trying to do, right? Like, they weren't trying to land a gig at Marvel with this thing. They were saying, like, here's what I've been thinking. You know? Like,
well, yeah, right. And that's
it wasn't
even supposed to be a comic at first. I mean, the fact that it is even a comic, the fact that you and I are involved, Dan, was part of their ideas. They're the ones who steered this whole thing, and so, you know, we're kind of really the servants of that.
Yeah, we're just providing, like, essentially like the polish on what they put together, you know, and I mean, shaping it a lot, you know, in Len's responsibilities. I mean, that he definitely had again a task I don't envy, but like me, I just got to come in and go, okay, so some awesome ideas by kids who are not ego-driven, like Len said, get to be channeled through a professional writer, and then I get to draw this. Okay, that's awesome. Right. Yeah.
Well, to that effect, man, with how you're doing this, I know you intend to add more characters through different people or different youth that you collaborate with as far as getting stories. So I'm curious, with having read what I've read, and knowing that fact, and the fact that you intend to introduce more characters, do you intend to kill anyone in this series? Or, like, how are you going to make it to where this doesn't become so overburdensome from the fucking amount of characters, if you continue to do it like that? I mean, because you got to do something, Len, or you're going to go fucking crazy. You can't just add characters. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess I'll field that one. I mean, and that's a good question too. I mean, because like, first of all, the whole thing has been a very sort of like organic evolution. Where we got, there was no roadmaps that took us to this point. It was just sort of following the trail where it led us, and so we're going to be, the short answer is that we're going to be doing another round of outreach later this year. The plan is to do it in the fall. We did one, and we've been kind of milking that for a couple of years now, while we kind of got the story together, and then got the artist round up, got Dan on board, finally get our first book published. We our mutual colleague, artist John Golden, who brought me on, is working a bit on issue 2. Issue 2 is supposed to be out before the end of the year, and then we're going to bring, and then Jimmy, still over there in Chicago, is going to sort of begin the next round of outreach and begin bringing more kids' voices into this thing. And I mean, it's I think that the thing what we want to do is, it's almost like Wikipedia. We want to create like this like a giant refrigerator where all these ideas just sort of like live, and as we need them, just sort of reach in and say, oh, here's a good character, or even here's just a good plot twist, and we're going to bring that in, and there's the main character. You guys got a chance to look at the first issue with the PDF copy of the first issue. The main character, he's going to be going through some stuff, and I mean, I'd spoil Infinity War long before I'd spoil what's going to happen in the story.
You better fucking not do either, Dan. God damn it.
So how many issues are you planning, or do you have that at all worked out?
There's it's a 3-issue miniseries. This initial story arc. We have enough of kind of a roadmap to flesh out 3 issues, and issues 1 and 2 are already in the shoot and on their way out. And we have plans for this third one that's going to be heavily influenced now by some of the new material that we're going to be getting during the next round of outreach. So the initial is a 3-issue series that's that will gather, I think, pretty nicely between the covers of a trade paperback eventually, someday soon.
Right.
But right now the plans are just for those three issues, and then to kind of jump. And hopefully, there's already been like a little bit of speculation about what we want to do for our next 3-issue arc, but we're sort of planning it 3 issues at a time.
That's cool. And it's called Back of the Yards is the name of the title.
Right. Yeah. The publisher, or the company is Made Collaborative, but the actual name of the book, the series, is Back of the Yards. Right.
And I highly suggest, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's Back of the Yards. Yeah. Make sure you look that up. When was the fucking first issue dropping?
In a month.
In a month.
1 month.
So yeah, check that out in 1 month. Back of the Yards, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I've already had the chance to look it out, as well as Racer and DKB.
We'll share it on the pages too.
Yeah, we'll fucking share it up to where you guys can find that shit from No Fucks Given Radio. But so I didn't, like, I want to know, is anybody gonna die?
You still want?
You ain't gonna
Batman.
tell me. You ain't gonna tell me. No. I just need to know.
Can I throw a question?
What happens if Thanos snaps his
kill
fingers?
Some motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the question back is, like, do people have to die for it to be a good story, though? Like, I mean, sometimes it's worse to not die.
No, but it helps.
I don't know. My only comic appearance, I died, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in James' case, I mean, that was the best thing that ever happened.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, these kids, I think their issues, I mean, if you read that first story, you see that they're dealing with very everyday issues, but then channeling it into this imaginative alter ego as a way to escape. And then there's like Len has hinted at, like larger forces at play that are a little more cosmic. And I think, I mean, like that stuff enough to me is pretty heavy without even killing anybody. But again, I guess really what it comes down to for me is like, is it serving these kids' stories?
Right.
See, and that's I think that's more my point to it. And going back to the question I asked a minute ago is the fact if you continue to add characters like that, you have to do something, huh?
Well, isn't that like the function of death, right? Death clears out
same
things,
school.
Get things out of the way so you can bring in new things.
Yeah, that's what they did for
violence is definitely one of the themes of the story, both real and sort of like the fantastic comic book violence. I don't want to try to make it seem like I'm hinting at something that's not there, or maybe or spoil anything at any rate. But I mean, we're not scared to take on issues of violence. Things, life and death are part of not only what makes life good.
Wait, Dan, why you gotta make it violent? I just said, does anybody die? Like, it ain't gotta be violent. God damn, man, Dan's violent, y'all. I don't know what he's fucking on.
That was Len. Hold on now.
Oh, my bad. Well, you're probably violent too, Dan. Don't fucking lie.
Yeah, Dan's pretty sketchy. No, I'm just joking.
I'm punching the wall right now. Just punching.
Dan's punching like some random woman in the streets as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just keeping my eyes closed and throwing my fists. Whoever happens to be there.
I've been at Kokomo Con like 3 times. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's why we're friends.
All right.
Right.
Note to
If
self,
there's not a
when
brawl
I
at
see Dan
Kokomo
Doherty,
Con.
have my guard up. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Hey, and you got.
Man, I don't know.
Was Andy Dimmitt on issue 2 then? Because I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah, Andy's going to be jumping in. Issue 2 is going to be a little bit more of a. We're going to showcase the idea of collaboration a little bit more in issue 2 because we're going to have several artists involved in that one. Andy Dimmitt, Dan's going to come back for a few pages. We have another artist, John Golden, working on several pages from that, and then Andy also is going to be doing a little chunk too. I invited him to come and help out too.
Very cool.
Well, hey, let's ask about what is obviously the key component to this particular work. Because without it, it wouldn't exist, and that being the kids that are helping to deal with the initial concepts. Like, one, man, how did you go about finding all these kids, and now that you're wanting to get more, how do you go about choosing the kids that you want to jump in at this point and tell their stories? And are you getting more stories than you think you'll ever use? I know.
Here's the deal.
Like 6 questions.
Like, to answer that question, I'm going to give you like a metaphor, right? If Dan and I were like on the X-Men, right? If I were like, I'd be like Cyclops, right? Because I'm kind of like the leader a little bit, and then Dan would be like Gambit, because he's sort of like the handsome rogue that always comes through in the band for us.
You just named 2 of the worst X-Men ever, motherfucker. Like, come on.
Dude, Douglock, he's the worst.
Or what about Fat? That guy's fat. That can make himself real fat in his arm.
Okay. Hold on. Pause because everybody in here is a goddamn comic book nerd. I'm sorry. I forgot.
That's what you want, right?
All right. You just named the 2 worst members of the main X-Men roster. There you go.
Anyways, Jimmy would be like Professor X in that he kind of has some high level plans that I help execute and make happen, but definitely the outreach, the finer points of the outreach and those sort of like high level strategic kind of decisions are in Jimmy's sort of domain. I'm more of the tactics guy. He says, Len, we need to make this happen. I'm like, all right, motherfucker. I'm the guy who makes shit happen. That's what I do. I make stuff happen. Just tell me what to do. And then Jimmy, he's a lawyer over there in Chicago. I don't know if he has psychic powers like Professor X, but if he does, maybe that's how he gets all these kids together. I don't know, but that's
all I know. Is I feel like you need a commercial on YouTube that's like, I'm Len Kody, I make shit happen.
You're like the Jonah Jameson.
You like Spider-Man.
We should all age so gracefully as J. Jonah Jameson, you know?
You got to have the same mustache, though. That's the only problem.
Yeah, right. It's a very unpopular style of mustache.
Hitler.
What?
Hitler.
Oh, wait. No. Oh, Jonah did have the Hitler, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. It's been a while since I've read actual Spider-Man comics. And they changed it later on. Like, he only had, like how long did he sport the Hitler? Because they got rid of that at a point. It was never in the cartoons.
I don't know if he ever got rid of it. He's had it. He might have. I don't know. He was mayor for a while. Who knew?
Man, I'm having, babe, type in J. Jonah Jameson. And I want J. Jonah Jameson. And
type in 3 J's and
add
enter.
Daily Bugle. Add Daily Bugle in case you fuck up the spelling. Alright. Does he have a Hitler mustache?
Yep.
It's a Hitler mustache. I think maybe like in the movies they sort of like softened. They made it like a porn mustache, like a.
See, in the cartoons he has a full regular mustache. Oh. Oh no. Okay.
I can't tell if it's comic or cartoon. It looks like cartoon though. There's both versions from what I'm seeing.
I think the cartoon where he had a Hitler stash is a very old '60s cartoon, like way the fuck back in the day. And then.
It's called the Tom Selleck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's got the Magnum PI mustache.
I don't know. I mean, he was kind of a fucking jackass that was very much, it's my way or fuck you. So, I mean, a Hitler mustache isn't really that far off for J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, it's consistent with his character.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So my wife typed in J. Jonah Jameson mustache, and the first post that came up was from Comet Vine. It says, does anyone else miss J. Jonah Jameson's Hitler mustache? I need everyone. No.
I hate to read the comments on that one.
I need everyone in the room to now answer this question.
I miss it.
Racer misses it.
I blacked out like 20 minutes ago. What are we talking about?
Like these drugs are finally kicking in.
Yeah.
Talking about J. Jonah Jameson's mustache for some reason. I don't know what the fuck. Where
I
this
took a
went.
couple Xanax to relax before the show, and now I'm mustache.
I don't know how
I
it
found some
turned into
peyote,
Hitler's,
but
I don't know how it turned into Hitler's mustache. Listen, my wife's drinking, and then she Googled it, and it's because you fucking said that Len had to sport a fucking J. Jonah Jameson mustache, and I didn't realize it was a Hitler. Okay, well, that's fair, but I didn't realize it was a Hitler. That's how we had to get into the specifics of it, and then my wife Googled that shit, and that was the question on Comet Vine. Apparently, it's an actual thing, so I just want to know, out of you four fuckers, who wants to see Hitler's mustache back on J. Jonah Jameson's face? Because apparently Racer
I didn't know
Lynn?
it was gone, but...
You know, there's a really old issue of Spider-Man, like in the '60s, where J. Jonah Jameson hires this Alistair Smith to build a robot to kill Spider-Man, and he has his face put on the robot. So like on the cover, yeah, right. And so you see Spider-Man like in the grips of this Spider Slayer with J. Jonah Jameson's laughing Hitler mustache face on this goofy-looking '60s robot trying to kill Spider-Man.
So do you want that Hitler mustache back, Lynn? I need to know.
I think that the classic.
Quit dodging the question. Just get.
God damn it. I feel like Mark Zuckerberg. Like I'm.
Just answer the question.
It's a yes or no, man. Look, it answers the fucking question, or it gets the hose again.
I vote for the Hitler mustache.
That's 2 votes for the Hitler mustache. DKB.
Yeah.
Dude. Hell no, bro. I love the fucking way. Yeah.
It could work.
That was the... Bro, you've had the best
It's now the
answer
J.
so far.
Jonah Jameson stash. It's not a Hitler stash anymore.
Whatever. You've had the best answer so far.
That's now the title of the YouTube.
You really have.
I mean, I didn't know it was gone. That blows my mind.
Apparently, because that's what it says on Comet Vine. So, Dan, do you want that mustache back?
I'm still blacked out, guys.
Y'all are fucking racist, and Dan's a drug addict. Whatever.
I've been unconscious this whole time. Right now, even.
Wait,
Lynn,
the most
how the fuck
racy question
How
was
the
getting
fuck are you
asked.
getting anything done, Lynn, with this motherfucker passing out from drugs all the time?
Actually, his best art is when he's passed out from drugs.
He does his best work while he's on drugs.
Right.
I'm driving a car right now too. That's the best part.
And punching people.
Is that going to be like our question that we ask everybody? Does Jonah Jameson should have his Hitler mustache back? That'll be the
I don't
question.
know, man. We can totally do that, but fucking Dan, don't die, okay?
Yeah, we need you alive, Dan.
All right.
Yeah, don't die, bro. We got mad love for you.
Okay.
Don't go and die on us. Though
I'm gonna stay alive.
It would kind of be epic for it to happen on air. I mean, we would have your last
That'd be some great
moment
tape, no?
on any
We would have
show
your last
ever.
interview, and you'd be talking about Hitler mustaches.
Yeah. What were his last words? I blacked it after you guys talk about Hitler mustache.
Yeah, Dan Doherty's
Just
last
put this on my
words, man.
tombstone.
Oh, God.
Hitler mustache question mark? I don't know.
He wouldn't answer it.
He wouldn't answer. Just feel like a yes or
Oh
no.
my God, you fuckers don't ever shut up. God damn it. Trying to black out here. Shut up. God. All right.
Dan's over here trying to die. We all hope
Trying
he
to die.
doesn't. Fucking driving, trying to black out.
That's a good way to win an award. You definitely get that award.
Hey, look, I fucking asked a question though and never got an answer. Right. So going into this, man, you're getting ready to go into the next batch as far as to get the kids to give you the collaborative ideas. How do you go about picking the kids to do that at this point?
Well, and that's sort of like a work in progress. Yeah.
Well, that was what you were talking about with Jimmy. I mean, because like Jimmy kind of isn't that more Jimmy's department than ours?
Yeah. Well, and I know that like because the first round of outreach, the phase 1 of the outreach was all the stuff that got us to this point. And I mean, and like I said, when Jimmy went into it, he didn't even know where it would lead him, let alone right here at this very moment that we're all taking part in here with Hitler mustaches and everything. But so the how we're going to handle the next round of outreach has been a bit of a topic of conversation. Jimmy, like I said, is sort of pulling the strings and kind of he has some contacts there in Chicago. He's a lawyer. He's served on some school boards, so he's kind of in that mix already. That's how he started this kind of stuff in the first place. So he's kind of like the logistical end of that is more under his kind of authority. He has reached out to me to sort of help him develop material because like I said, I was a teacher, so I have some some very rough drafts and outlines of ways that we might be able to get kind of like corral these kids into sort of like this shared like creative experience. I've even road tested some of it when my last teaching job ended about a year ago, and I had a chance to even try some of this out with some of the kids in my class. They didn't even know I was experimenting on them. And so I mean,
wait. So you think fucking we need to bring back the Hitler mustache, and you're experimenting on kids without their knowledge? What the fuck, man?
Hey, for a teacher, at least he didn't sleep with the students. That's pretty good nowadays.
Racer's right. Points.
So
I mean, it's
blacked out.
So, but
and Dan's gonna die.
It is all coming together. I have developed some material.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say something too about it. I mean, we don't really know the whole scope of what or it hasn't been developed entirely yet. I think about how to get that next phase, but I would hope, in all seriousness, that the kids who come in to whatever future project have the same kind of like, I wouldn't say innocence about it, but that they wouldn't know what it's about necessarily, so that they can be honest about.
Right. That's what I was going to ask, because like, it seems like the first batch, they didn't know, what it was.
Yeah, like, if they know that it's some sort of, like, comic project, they might start writing, like, their version of Wolverine or something. Whereas if you ask them to write about their day-to-day and their feelings and their experiences, without that context, then they actually think, okay, well, what's on my mind right now? And that's stuff that was interesting. Like, that's the stuff that I think a good story's made out of is, like, how you're feeling about something or what's bothering you. So hopefully these kids don't have, like, the whole scope of it that in a way that would ruin that experience for them. Because that wouldn't be fair to them either.
All right.
Well, in the materials that I sort of just kind of started to get together and had a chance to even try out with a real group of students. The idea is that we're sort of putting together is to sort of point them towards some of the themes that are happening in the story. The idea of the power of imagination, the power of dreams, the ways that our real life sort of translates into dreams, and how things that we dream can become part of real life. And that's, and that's sort of the key to it all, is that, it really is like a superpower to imagine something, and then all of a sudden it's a real thing. When you move something from the world of abstract ideas into this physical reality that we all kind of live in, that's magic. That's real deal magic. And I think that's an important message for kids who feel hopeless to have, is to have this opportunity to not only have their voices listened to, but also have their ideas, that have it cross that threshold into something that is real, and that's very empowering. I know that's why artists do it. Creators of all kinds like to create. It's the act of creativity itself is sort of a healing process. Every artist, musician, writer you ever meet is working out some kind of shit, and it's a very kind of just freeing, liberating, cathartic experience to have this opportunity to just get that stuff out of you, and then what's great about it is that it's not only does you heal yourself, but you put something out in the world that inspires other people to kind of to do their own healing, and that's the thrust of the outreach, is to sort of to give these kids a voice and kind of honor them in ways, their ideas in ways that I don't think that they've had many opportunities to do.
Amen, brother.
Hell yeah.
Word.
Yeah, well said.
Hell yeah, no. That's dope, man. Like, I gotta ask though, like, with this, excluding the kids, because I'm not gonna ask you to give an exact number on that, how many guys are involved in this particular project at this moment? Because I know you intend to add more.
Yeah, it's already quite a group, and especially since I'm sort of the one managing a lot of it. But I mean, there's let's see, there's I don't think I've ever done like a nose count. Right now, the next issue, for instance, like this first issue that is about to come out, it's just one writer and one artist, me and Dan. But then the next issue, there'll be a little bit of Dan, there'll be some of John Golden, there'll be some Andy Dimmitt in there, thank God. There's an artist who was back on there from the Billboard days, Manny Dominguez. We have a couple of colorists, and probably about a dozen or so people.
Yeah, my art wouldn't be anything without Canilla Tripp on there. I got to throw his name on there because I've worked with him on a couple things, Rotten, Touching Evil, and then now this. And that dude knows how to color my stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that when I saw the PDF from you guys.
Yeah, it's beautiful colors, and he's always like pushing the boundaries of what we can do, and he's just a real chill guy about it too. He lives in Hawaii, so he's just sitting there, just watching the waves. I like to imagine that he's
Blue hours like 7 days a week and shit.
Yeah, always drinking something out of a coconut, and whatever.
Making tea sandwiches.
Yeah, not to caricaturize the dude, but the dude, Canilla's awesome, and he's been a real good ally and friend for a lot of my comic stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of people involved in this thing, and I think what Len's saying is like, it's hard to keep track almost because of how many people have contributed, and then what could be if this thing keeps doing as well as we hope it will.
We can dig it.
Yeah.
Word to all our mothers.
All the mothers.
Yeah, it's almost Mother's Day.
Yeah, I was going to say, right in the month of May, Mother's Day.
It's also almost Free Comic Book Day. I want to tell everybody about Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Are you guys?
I'll be at the Comic
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday, yeah. Madison Heights, Michigan.
Right on.
I'll be teasing a new comic there.
Are you
going
giving away a free comic? It's Free Comic Day.
I'll be giving away a bunch of free random stuff. I got prints. and a couple books that I'm first come first serving to whoever gets there first. I'm not saying what they are yet, just mystery books.
He's doing
I'll be
free.
there.
He's doing free all taller sketches all day.
Love your mom.
Now he's got to do it. Ooh.
Damn, DKB. Just put that motherfucker on the spot and shit.
Yeah, your mom could get real colorful.
You are.
I don't know what the hell. I blacked out again. Yeah.
He's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Dan. Would you stop?
The blackout corner.
Look.
He's got a weak heart and a condition.
I keep waking up. I just keep waking up and there's more squad cars behind me, but I'm driving still.
I fuck with underground artists all the time.
Don't get out.
He's like Fred Sanford. He's like, I'm coming, Louise, or whatever.
Well, they keep saying something, but I keep hearing you guys talk, so I can't hear them. I don't know. But yeah, guys. I mean, yeah, Free Comic Book Day is gonna be awesome. And hopefully, what? So, Len, we're gonna have Back of the Yards like start of June-ish, right?
That's the way it's looking, right? Yeah. It's, I mean, they're going to be off to the printer, and yeah, the book drops next month.
Cool.
You can cosplay as yourself because you said you're in the book as a teacher.
And I'll tell you real quick. To come back, where the fuck did that name come from? Why Back of the Yards? And why is yard? Like specifically, why Back of the Yards? Like Back of the Yard?
It's none of your business.
Fuck you, man. He named it that. He came on for an interview. He's supposed to answer the fucking questions. Answer the fucking question.
Quit trying to dodge it.
It's a real neighborhood in Chicago. Back of the Yards is a real neighborhood in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a real place.
Yeah.
Like Cabrini Green?
Yes, I mean, it's got a long history.
Not like Cabrini Green.
It's a rough side of town for sure. They were next to the Union Stockyards, and we actually talk about it a little bit in the book. I mean, I don't think you should spoil history or whatever, because it's like, don't spoil end the Titanic, right? The boat sinks, we know. But we talk about it a little bit in the book too. But there's a real neighborhood in Chicago where during the early 20th century, late 19th century, there was the largest slaughterhouses in the whole country were in Chicago, and the neighborhood of immigrant workers and poor folks and people of color that sort of, exactly, the jungle. Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. We talk about that book too in our book. But yeah, it's a real neighborhood, even though like the Back of the Yards neighborhood in the comic isn't necessarily constrained by like the reality of the place. It's kind of a source of inspiration for the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. Len did some really cool research. I mean, he already knew about it, but he compiled some good like backstory that is in the back of the story of the book. So I got to illustrate some of that too. And for anyone who's uninitiated for the history of that, it actually is in there, which is, I think it's a nice little appendix to what's already a cool book. We basically added like 10 pages of content of that.
Right. Well, yeah. It's the feature story, the feature presentation is a 24-page comic, and then in the back there's another 10 pages of 5 of which explain the whole are sequential pages that talk about what the Back of the Yards neighborhood's all about, and then the other 5 sort of give some in-depth presentation of exactly what Made Collaborative is about and about the outreach and the kids and the ideas they came up with and everything else.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that you guys included that because I think it does add a whole nother level of depth to that book that you're not going to have elsewise. I mean, especially because the way it's created. So, Len, let me just ask you, man. I mean, you've worked on quite a few things. Out of everything you've worked on in your career, man, what was the thing you got the most joy out of writing? Not out of necessarily completing the entire process, but just the actual sitting down and writing of.
That is a good question. Oh, I mean, it's this is it's funny because the answer to your question is a little bit on how on the review that I would give to Infinity War, Because what
I
it's like
will
the recent.
fuck you up, Lynn. You don't spoil shit.
Oh man.
It's,
Don't open
the
up
recent,
that can of worms again, Len.
the recency bias, you know, the
Look,
recency
this
bias.
has been a damn good interview. It can be over.
I mean, you know, it's tough to kind of like separate your emotions from the thing that you're in right now. I mean, there's some stuff I did when I in my earlier 20s when I was just kind of first trying to tell like larger stories and things like that, and those were fun because it's almost like your first love, you know. It's just you don't know what you're doing and you're kind of fumbling around and messing it up, but in another way, it also those very first kind of like humble, you know, awkward steps into doing this sort of thing is all leads to where you're at right now. And I mean, I've been a part of a lot of things, you know, whether it was doing stuff for Moonstone or even doing some of my own stuff, or even doing stuff that had nothing to do with comics, like as a journalist, or I do professional blogging now. It's fun, but I don't feel like I've been a part of something that feels like is alive as this. I've never felt as comfortable with its, you know, value. I mean, when you're a creative person, I mean, you know, and you guys do creative things, it's like, in order to be able to do that, you kind of have to have this almost like kind of like suicide mission mentality. It's like, if you really wanted to go out there, it's like, you're ready to almost die, you know, I mean, maybe it's a little like hyperbole, but you're almost ready to die for it to make it happen. You know, if you really want to make something happen, it's a mission, you know, that can't be clouded by anything else other than making it happen. So I've been down that road before, and I've never felt like fate tapped me on the shoulder like it did when I was pulled into this thing, and I really feel like it's something that's bigger than me, and that's a really cool feeling because it's different than anything I've ever done.
That's cool. You think that, you know, because you used to be a teacher, you know, that you think that's why you connect so much to that.
Well, yeah, that's again like almost like the mistake or the accident of how things that were meant to be kind of happen. Like, I mean, Dan and I went to high school together. That's how I know the guy. I mean, I knew the guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. VJA, Andrew High School. So they're in the south suburbs of Chicago. So I mean, before Dan was a comic guy, we were you know, we knew each other. We went to the same.
When you guys
school,
were in that gang together.
He was a little bit older than me, but
they were both
like 1 year.
sporting fucking Hitler mustaches.
Oh God,
I know.
You guys were in a gang together, from what I heard. That's what the rumor on the street is.
See, well, you're gonna make me have to run away from a whole other city. I've run away from one city.
What? Wait, you want to get back into those Chinese guys that's buying the motherfucking startup companies to brain control the youth? What was that about again, Lynn? We never got a direct answer.
You can tell when aliens ate your broadcast.
It's they just work for the reptiles, and you know, and the way that works is that we mine gold out of our planet, and all of our politics and business is just a front operation to deliver gold to the reptile UFOs that hover above our planet and control everything.
I already knew that.
Duh.
I feel like we need to have this motherfucker on Aliens Ain't My Broadcast, DKB.
My broadcast.
You should bring me and Andy on that.
Okay, yeah. I told Andy you can
Speaking of Andy,
one of these days.
Speaking of Andy, he did our artwork for our Super Smash Bros. Stoplight City. I mean, when you write, do you listen to music? Do you have background noise? Do you like it quiet? I mean, how does that work?
Usually I have some kind of either a podcast or like a baseball game or some kind of music. If it's music, I don't like a lot of lyrics. But if I want to listen to something that, you know, that's something that it keeps my mind like engaged but doesn't distract me. So, yeah, like a nice 3-hour-long baseball game or a podcast, and I'm not paying attention to.
Right on. What about you, Dan?
Blacked out.
I think we just lost Dan.
Oh no!
Blacked out.
Dan blacked out. I hope Dan, for real. You do me a favor, if you're listening to this, bro, just send one of the four of us let us know you're alive and not dead, because you were driving, and I just,
Dan.
I thought I should have told him, like, bro, you're driving, so if you're going to bounce, make it clear that you're going to bounce, because we've had it to where I didn't find out until 24 hours or so later that the motherfucker was alive or dead, you know. We don't want, as funny, yeah. It did. That's true. It did sound like a dead battery. We had an incident where it just like sounded kind of terrible, and then it cut off, and it was like, "What the fuck was that about?" But whatever. So yeah, that's fine. I forgot my goddamn question.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, what do you listen to when you work?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thank you. So, wait, you'll listen to podcasts, but when you listen to music, you prefer something with no lyrics.
I guess so. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Just at that instance, I mean, I'm sure he listens to music with.
Oh, I know. I just mean in that instance, I just find it. Oh no, I know. I just find it. I don't know. I find it odd that those would be the things you listen to because it's like something that's very much wordy and it's just going to be people telling stories and talking, and then as opposed to just something that is purely musical and creating a vibe, man. I would think those particular things would affect how you write, do they? And do you like specifically find yourself?
It's like a prescription for your mood. Like there's another one. Like I hop on YouTube and there is a 24-hour cut on YouTube of that drone of the engines from the USS Enterprise from Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know, like that when they're walking around. It's just 24 hours of that. And sometimes I just need to put like noise canceling like earbuds in my ear and just listen. If my attention's really like kind of like hard to focus, then I just like, all right, time to blast my ears with the Enterprise D.
White noise.
Yeah.
They get that right frequency tuned in.
I just play a lot of polka. No,
you used to play a lot of polka, DKB. Or I mean, Racer. Really? You played polka, Racer?
No, I didn't.
I don't know if I believe it. I think you may.
He's being a smart ass. You're being gullible.
Wait, did you just tell me not to be a smart ass? Everybody's been being a smart ass.
I said he's being a smart ass.
Oh, you don't be gullible.
Oh, okay. No, I was just being more of a smart ass, man. I wasn't being gullible. It was just because you know you play polka. I know you love polka. Racer, don't lie. Right? Because everybody's been being a smart ass.
You got a dusty accordion in his room right now.
Yeah, you don't know me.
Weird Al, man.
With that Jonah Jameson stash.
I got sued. I do.
I think we should maybe make that a standard question on the interview. I think that's kind of goddamn funny. Yeah. Thanks for giving us a good go-to, Len. I like that one.
Anytime, boys.
Oh, that's fucking awesome, man. All right. But man, like I said, you got a lot of dope shit coming up. Like short of this, you got anything else planned in the works?
Well, I mean, as far as like on the creative side, this sort of is, especially as the book is about to come out, it seems to dominate more and more of my spare attention. But I mean, it's one of the opportunities that I have here in LA that there weren't as much of or as many of in Chicago is opportunities to be able to kind of write professionally, and so I've been barely scraping by, but I've been hustling a living just as a copywriter and a blogger, and it's not the kind of thing I'd really brag about, like hey, check out this great blog I wrote about the 3 best steaks in Philadelphia. But it's
pretty good right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
That blog.
Here's the best brisket in Houston. Go get it.
Right.
Wait.
No, I seen you shared a. Hold on, let me ask a question.
All right, go. Wait, no, wait. I just got to know. How does he know about the best brisket in Texas when he's in fucking L.A.? Len, what the? Well, you traveled to Texas to eat a biscuit or a brisket?
Or Google, one or the other.
Oh, okay. So you Googled it and didn't eat shit. Fair enough. That's
right.
Like, I feel like that's false advertising. But go ahead, Racer. Sorry. I just, false advertisement.
I was just going to ask you, I think you shared a book with Chuck Dixon. What was that kind of like?
Oh, shit. Oh, man, you're really, I remember that now. That was fun. Oh, that was a lot of fun because, I mean, that dude is, I mean, he wrote Batman. He wrote Punisher. I mean, you're sitting there having a meeting of the minds with the real deal, the guy that was actually part of the world that, when you're a 10-year-old kid, he was building it. And another interesting thing is that is also where we kind of deviated, because I know that we're still friends on Facebook and stuff. But I mean, he's definitely kind of like, he likes to write, like kind of Tom Clancy kind of military style. He's kind of like a leans right. I definitely lean left, and but we worked together on a Western, and that was a lot of fun.
Right, I'm friends with both of you, by the way.
Chuck Gibson is a hell of a guy. If he ever recommends a Western or a war movie or anything like that, it's like that is a very refined opinion. You can take that right to the bank.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Dan says he's okay. He lost reception.
Okay.
The masses need to know. Get an update.
All right. Good. Dan's okay. Check out his Kickstarter getting ready to start up, ladies and gentlemen. He's live, so it'll be up and live soon.
May 15th.
May 15th, right? But hey, I got one more question, right? And then fucking, I'm gonna see what Racer and DKB got, and then we're gonna see what else we do. But I just want to know, man. Let's say you can just reach anywhere, Len, living, dead. I don't give a fuck, and pick yourself a writer to collaborate on a story and an artist to draw that shit. You have no limits, man. Who you gonna pick? Who you really?
Grant Morrison and Jack Kirby. Grant Morrison and Jack Kirby.
Damn, you thought about that shit.
No, I didn't have to think about it. That's just the answer. That's the right answer.
No, I mean you thought about it. Answer. Like you. That's not. The answer. I didn't have to think about it. That's just the answer.
like which way is the sky? Up.
Oh, hell no, Len. Racer, you got anything to ask?
I think that's about it. Besides our other stuff we do.
DKB, any nice little extras?
Give us a favorite, best, worst, funny, whatever convention moment, or something in the industry.
Yeah.
Oh boy! Well, all right. Now
he's got a good
have to
one.
Through the ones that... Go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say you got a good one. I could just tell by that giggle, Len. Proceed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh boy, I got a good one. I don't know if I want to broadcast anything. It was. Let me. I'll see. So I have some good ones that maybe I'll tell you guys, not on the air. But the first time I ever went to San Diego was really great. It was back in the mid to early 2000s or mid to late 2000s when I was first doing stuff for Moonstone back then, and it was my first really really big show, the San Diego, when I was working the booth with them, and I met people there that have become lifelong friends. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even have been able to move here to LA without that having happened first, because I met some pals. One of them was one of my best friends, John, who lives here in Los Angeles. He's a writer too, and so that's how we met. We went on the Bendis board together, for God's sake. So if that kind of gives you any kind of context. I went to that first San Diego, and I met some people that ended up becoming very relevant in my life later on, and and even when I felt at my most cynical about comics. I mean, by my late 20s, I'd spent a lot of time and a lot of money, and I didn't really end up where I thought I would end up. I was just it was still just a really expensive hobby, and it wasn't really becoming what I wanted it to be. And so I kind of just gave up for a little while. But with a couple of years of perspective, especially when I saw the role that these people that I'd met in this community of people ended up playing in my life, I'm like, well, what I didn't get what I thought I wanted, or when I thought I was going to get it. But what I did gain was ended up paying a lot more dividends down the line, which were people who, if I said, hey, John, I need the Illuminati's after me, and I need to leave Chicago. Can I crash on your couch for a couple of weeks while I find a place there in Los Angeles? And he's like, sure. And I mean, I wouldn't have been able to make it if I didn't have that one point of contact. Just a guy that was a writer like me,
What? Hey, I don't even want to ask this. You said what? No, what the fuck? How did you get the Illuminati chasing after you?
I'm just trying to mythologize my own story, man.
You don't want to tell them the answer, man. They'll
make it seem cooler than what it is, man. It was sometimes in life you just have to make a change, and or not, I mean, either evolve or you die, and it was time to change.
No.
They're the ones that contacted me to get you to do this interview, by the way. They're tracking you as we speak.
I think what it is Len Kody is not his real name. He got kicked out of Chicago for sporting.
It sounds kind of made up,
Jonah
doesn't it?
No,
Doesn't even
dude,
sound like
you
a
got
real
kicked
name.
out of
I think
Chicago
his real
for
name's
sporting
Ken Lody, is what his real name is.
Yeah.
Look, it was because he had the J. Jonah Jameson mustache, and just people were pissed.
So Ken, if that is your real name, or Lynn, or
It was an inside job. The mustache was an inside job.
we're gonna do a GoFundMe for J. Jonah Jameson.
We do, baby. I need J. Jonah Jameson on this fucking shit. You know what I'm saying?
I can't believe I never realized he had a Hitler stash.
I never realized that personally, but yeah, apparently there was a famous Marvel comic book character had a Hitler mustache. I'll be damned. That's what's up.
He kind of like Hitler with the flat top.
Yeah, he
Parker,
was too.
I need pictures of Spider-Man on my desk yesterday. Where is it?
He's like, 9. I'll get you next time, Spider-Man. Got.
Spider-Man.
Jesus. How did this turn on to fucking hating J? Like, I don't even know what. You know what? Whatever. I don't even give a fuck. Lynn, you got anything else you want to cover before we cut about this bitch?
No, we still got to do our top 5 and stuff.
Oh wait,
yeah, I
oh,
took notes on
shit.
that, man. I'm ready for that.
Man,
shit.
I totally whatever. I fucking wait. What was our top 5 supposed to be? This
4 movies. It's supposed to. We're gonna do Luke Cage and Beyonder and top 5 horror movies.
I totally missed
that. Yeah, I forgot about it till today, but yeah, that's the easy one.
Yes,
you can think of top 5 horror movies.
You can name 5 horror movies. It's not too rough.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have to be your 5. I can name one for you.
I can name your top.
Shut up, man! I can name my own top 5. I do the freaky fucked up Fear Hour with Chuckles and Elmo 415.
Are we gonna take a break first, or are we just going into
horror movies? No, fuck that. We ain't doing no break, because you know when we do breaks, we lose fucking viewers on YouTube. Lynn, you gonna hang around for the top 5 and the verses with us?
Absolutely.
We gonna throw that shit on right quick. I did not. That is the only motherfucking image I forgot to grab. I legit whatever. Yeah, so we gonna do that. But you're right, man. DKB, introduce this verses.
We got the Beyonder versus Luke Cage.
Look, Lynn, what do you say?
I mean, Beyonder has unlimited cosmic power. He's basically like a god.
Right.
And Luke Cage is, you know, he's
Luke Cage.
Scrappy dude from Harlem.
He is from Harlem. You guys have going for him.
Yeah, right.
He has home field advantage. Let's say it's in Harlem. So at least he at least has home field advantage.
It's like, I mean, if I really would want to pick the guy that I feel like, you know, would have like the toughness, you know, to I mean, like, because I tell you what, if the roles were reversed, if Luke Cage had unlimited cosmic power and the Beyonder were just some dude, you know, from Earth, I mean, maybe Harlem or anywhere else, I think that the belittled Beyonder wouldn't stand a chance against, you know, he wouldn't have the toughness. I mean, if anybody could at least like go like the distance, you know, like Rocky versus,
right.
You know, yeah, right. I mean, if he can go into like the deep rounds, that I would bet, you know, like a Vegas over under. I wouldn't bet. He would beat the spread.
Right. But what about in this instance? Who do you pick?
Yeah, I gotta say, if there's gonna be victory going anyone, it's gonna be the Beyonder.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of got the bad. Luke got the bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
draw.
Well, look. No, first off, I want to point out, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the graphic up. I got it up on the screen if you're over on the YouTube. Luke Cage would have had a shitty draw against pretty much everyone else on this fucking versus.
Not Joker and Leader.
Okay,
and Bizarro he could have went toe to toe with.
Like I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm more of a DC guy, but I love me some Luke Cage. But I have to give it to the Beyonder on this one, man.
I mean,
I'll tell you, if it was a Beyonder that looked like a 70s porn star, you know, from Secret Wars 2, kind of like the leisure suit Beyonder, maybe then Luke Cage would be able to, even in his tiara and his yellow blouse, he could probably kick his, you know,
No.
Secret Wars 2 Beyonder.
No, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Beyonder is like...
If this was a contest for more stylists, he could pull it off.
Oh, no. No, yeah. That headband's going to get wrapped around his head permanently. Like, yeah. Luke Cage could not... And you're right, Racer. I was right. There's a couple people he could fuck with on this list, but there are a couple people when we fucking made this goddamn round of verses.
Right.
They were just like fucked.
Well, yeah. I mean, I picked the Beyonder because Mixie-Plick was the last champion. So I mean, I was like, the Beyonder would be a good Mixie-Plick battle, and then so did Mr. Impossible or Impossible Man. I just tried to pick people
Dr.
who would
Manhattan.
Mr. Mixie-Plick more than anything when I was picking my characters.
Just to update everybody as far as how things have gone down so far, because we ain't got this fuck probably updated. It's Mr. Mixie-Plick was taken out by Bizarro. Then the Joker ended up taking out the leader. Fucking Onslaught ended up taking out One Punch Man, correct? Or was it the other way around?
One Punch Man beat Onslaught.
I don't agree with that. That's why I don't want to remember it that way, but that's what I thought, Ray. So you're right. One Punch Man ended up taking out Onslaught. Bullshit.
Nope.
And fucking Dr. Manhattan ended up taking out Doomsday, right? And then we've got the Beyonder. He's wiping the floor with Luke Cage, because yeah.
Who's the next ones? There's still three more lineups.
The next I think is far more interesting and could go several different ways. That being Impossible Man versus Akira at full power, and yeah, we ain't gonna get into that one. Yeah, I mean, Len, if you want to give your vote, you can, I guess, because you ain't gonna be here.
I'll throw in for Akira on that one.
You gonna throw in for Akira? See, yeah, I think that's gonna be a rough one. That's what Len's saying, but we're gonna get into that more next month, ladies and gentlemen. Last thing we got though is our top 5. I swear, I can do this though, because we run the Freaky Fucked Up Fear Hour. Myself, Chuckleton, Elmo 415. We review horror movies over on that bitch though. You know what I'm saying? We gonna switch some other shit up, but that's besides the point. I'm gonna start, because goddamn it, I'm one of the hosts of the Freaky Fucked Up Fear Hour, motherfuckers, right? My top 5 horror movies, I don't give a shit if y'all disagree. Some of the fucking shit I've had called horror films by Elmo and Chuckles, I don't know what's wrong with them. The first is Alien, man, because Alien's the shit, and then Predator. And those are both horror films. I don't give a fuck what any...
And Dark Horse
says.
Properties.
Whatever.
Did you say whatever, DK? No, DKB, those are horror
films.
films.
Whatever. I
Those
know.
two.
I can almost see Alien, but Predator, come on.
The first one. Just the first
action.
one.
First, yeah.
That's like Rambo.
It's an action horror sci-fi film.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it is kind of scary.
Yeah, because
we'll allow it.
The horror part is the fucking thing that's just hunting you like crazy. The action is the fact that they're in the middle of a war. You know? It is. Come on.
Yeah, if he had his own just like in the woods, killing motherfuckers.
Yeah. My other one, man, it sucks because I don't know which one to pick because now Evil Dead 2, yeah, because Evil Dead 2 is the shit.
You can just go with franchises.
Yeah, just franchise. Just say the franchise.
Oh well, yeah. Then I'll totally take the whole franchise up to and including the series. Boo! Fuck you, Stars, for ending that shit. It was dope.
I heard.
They ended it because all the pirators they wouldn't. They weren't watching. Yeah,
motherfucker, I ain't buying cable and buying Stars. For
I'm just saying,
show.
You contributed to their show cancellation.
I mean,
right.
Fuck them.
Well, yeah, whatever.
They should have put that shit on a streaming service. Something.
I mean, you weren't the only one.
Game of Thrones don't bitch about it at all. They don't. They don't bitch about it at all. Fucking Dinklage is like, yeah, we are the most pirated show in the world. That's what's
Isn't it on Stars? I don't have Stars or whatever it's on. What's it on?
Well, no. Game of... Oh, wait. Stars, yeah. Fucking Ash vs. Evil Dead is on Stars. Yeah. Yeah. So Evil Dead, though, all around. Because that shit's fucking... It's dope as fuck. And, man, I have to go just because of the name of the fucking villain, man. Friday the 13th. Yeah, because there's something, I mean, some of them are fucking shitty, right? There are certain ones that are great. And that's just the whole fucking thing with that series. And there should have been a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. That's the truth, but it never happened. But there is a comic book you can check out. My fifth and final one is the fucking Evil Ernie film they'll make one day. I really hope.
I hope so. That'd be cool.
I really, 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 really hope.
I don't know, man. Dynamite owns that right now, so I don't see them making movies.
Whatever shit gets brought back like that all the time. Don't fuck with my dreams, Racer.
I
Just
didn't
give
stop
me your
it. I
top
just told you the
5.
truth. I'm like a gospel an apostle or something. I don't know. I didn't buy the rights to Evil Ernie to make sure you don't get to see a movie.
What's your top 5?
My top 5? My top 5 would be Friday the 13th, number 1. Nice. Number 2, The Devil Rejects. Number 3, In the Mouth of Madness. Number 4 is The Tall Man and that Phantasm shit.
Nice.
And number 5, just because that was one of the creepiest scenes of all time, Mr. DKB knows what it is.
I do.
What is it?
A sleepaway camp.
Yep. Crazy.
I still need to see Mouth of Madness. Like,
I'm surprised you didn't say Greasy Strangler, Jay.
You shut the fuck up. That's Elmo's shit. Fuck off, DKB, before I don't even... Like, I'll end this show right now. What's your top 5?
Sorry.
The Greasy Strangler.
Of course.
Have you watched The Greasy Strangler?
No, I haven't. Shut
All
up.
right,
I'm not
Lynn,
going to. So it's
Lynn,
not my top
quick.
5. But
no, hold on.
In my
Before
top
we
5
continue
is
any
also
farther,
Friday the 13th.
Hey, I just want to say, though,
Hey,
Lynn, you should go watch The Greasy Strangler.
No,
and did we all three say Friday the 13th? That's kind of dope. Go ahead, DKB, my bad.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Friday the 13th, and also, like Racer said, Phantasm. I want to say Hellraiser.
Ooh.
4, the Halloween series. And 5, I might just go with another Chicago native, Candyman.
Yeah, Candyman should have made my list.
Hell yeah.
I even met. I got to meet him once too. What the fuck? Why did I put him on the list? All right.
I don't know. Why did I forget to fucking do this until last minute? Period. We some busy
That's
motherfuckers,
true.
bro.
True.
We some busy motherfuckers. That shit happens. It's all good. Now, Lynn, I know Lynn didn't have a chance to prepare unless you prepared him, Racer. Did you?
I prepare my guests when I get them on my shows.
That's no fun.
Yeah, he told me about it last week.
What the fuck? What's wrong with you, man? It's so much more fun to just throw them under the bus. I'm sorry, Lynn. I just love to watch people get run over. I am a sick bastard. But that's besides the point. What's your top 5?
Number 5 is the first Child's Play movie.
Nice.
Yeah, that scared the hell out of me the first time I saw it. I mean, I was like, I had literal fear in my heart for many months after I first saw that movie. Next up is Evil Dead 2. You mentioned Evil Dead is a great franchise. There'll be another honorable mention of Evil Dead in the rest of my top 5. But Evil Dead 2 is number 4. Number 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors.
Good one.
Yeah, right. Where they all get to be all cool to try to kick Freddy's ass. And then
can I just say real quick about that film? I have a problem with the fact that the comic book nerd was only able to come up with guns. What the fuck is that shit?
There was a few people that just went down. Like, I mean, like in some way, it's like kind of the first part is kind of empowering because they all get to be like their higher selves, and then Freddy just comes and kills them. Like you can't outsmart Freddy in the dream world.
Right. It's true.
And let's see, that was number 2 is the first Gremlins movie.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because they just sort of the Gremlins, they just are against like everything that the '80s stood for, like technology, and they just kind of just made a fool out of the entire decade of the '80s. And then number 1 is Army of Darkness.
Hell yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
I like how the Evil Dead series got included twice in your list, Lynn.
Right.
I just gotta say.
I was trying to think of another one, but no, it's a good enough franchise that it should be represented twice.
No, man, you should have put Alien in because Alien is one of the greatest horror films of all
so we
time.
could have had 4.
It is. Yeah, look, I don't give a fuck. My wife said stop being bossy. Fine, I will not stop being bossy because I'm a fucking. No, I guess I'll stop.
Yeah, all
no,
good,
that's really not. Whatever, that's besides the goddamn point. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 15 of Supah Nerd-tendo, yeah, with Len Kody. Len, you got any final thoughts before we cut about this bitch?
No, just follow your dreams and write until your very dying breath, because that's the reason why we live, man.
It's true.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And make sure you check out Back of the Yards when it comes out, ladies and
Oh
gentlemen.
yeah, that too.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a damn good read. I'll shout that out since Len forgot to shout out his own comic book. That's how you know it's been a good interview. The motherfucker's gotten so distracted by it, he forgot to promo the shit he came on to promo at the end of the interview. That's what's up, man. Razor, any final thoughts?
Just thanks, Len, for coming on, and Dan. Dan's the first two-time guest of the show, so shout out to Dan, and shouts out to Len. Shouts out to Andy Dimmitt, who's my homie.
Love you, Andy.
And shout out to you guys, because you my homies.
Hell yeah, that's what's up, man. DKB?
Oh yeah, same shit, whatever. Shout out. Thanks, Len, for coming on. It was an awesome show. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, definitely check out Back to the Yards, man. It was pretty dope. So.
And next time you see a picture of DKB,
it's
sporting
great,
J. Jonah Jameson.
Idea, so I mean, I like it. So what?
I said next time we see a picture of DKB, you're gonna be sporting a J. Jonah Jameson, right?
No, that's not happening. Only J. Jonah Jameson can sport.
That's right. You can't take his style. I think he had it before Hitler, anyways. Who said Hitler had it first?
Hitler was just going for that Spider-Man look.
Hitler just a big Spider-Man fan. That's all.
Hitler went back in time with his time machine.
Look, I don't even know what else to say to that, man. I really don't. So fuck it. For everyone over on YouTube, go turn on to the fucking radio. I'm about to play some dope music. Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah.